I mean, he was averaging numbers, but...
Who?
Kevin Love.
Before we do move on, I will say I think the Cavs have two really good building blocks in their backcourt. I think Rodney Hood is a really good young talent, and Colin Sexton has a lot of talent.
Rodney Hood will not be young for that long. I don't know what they're waiting for.
Well, no, but I think...
Can't stay young for everybody.
Obviously, they need to improve, and improve drastically. But I think if they can get Zion in the draft next year, Sexton, Hood, Zion, I think that's just a really good combo. But we'll see.
It will still take a few years for them to develop.
This next thing I'm just going to mention, because we don't really care about him, Joakim Noah got waived, finally.
I'm not a big fan of Joakim Noah. In fact, I'm sure that he used to have talent, but as long...
Key word there for everyone listening. Used to have talent.
Sometimes it seems like players rent a talent for about a year.
Call it Space Jam, ladies and gentlemen.
Anyway, dude, he's, if you're in the NBA and you're shooting with both hands like that,
yeah,
if Andre, who was the player that was mocking his shot?
Who wasn't mocking his shot? I mean, honestly, I feel like...
Wasn't it Andre Drummond?
I don't know. Andre Drummond is a funny guy. But we'll talk about him later.
If Andre Drummond is making fun of your shot, you're obviously doing something wrong. But look, I don't like Joakim Noah. I think that he's not a good team player. But you know, he will not be missed. I don't think in the NBA, other than maybe Coach Tibbs, because he obviously loves his Bulls guys. But
yeah, just for the record, while I'm just thinking of Joakim Noah, I'm thinking of that broke jumper and him at the free throw line.
Yes.
And a guy who did move this offseason, in DeAndre Jordan, who has been really good from the free throw line. This is a man shooting who's like 80-something%.
Is he getting fouled?
Yeah. He's literally shooting plus 80 from the free throw line. Like, that's crazy.
What?
From a guy who was averaging like 54 last year.
That's crazy.
All right. In bigger news regarding the Cavaliers, since no one really gives a shit about Larry Nance, Tyronn Lue was fired after their 0-6 start. Larry Drew is now acting as their head coach. And we touched on this a bit earlier, but John, I really want you to kind of dive in here, since as a Cavs supporter for the last 5 years. What's this Cavs future looking like post LeBron, post Tyronn Lue, and pre Zion Williamson? I mean, first pick in the draft.
What do I think about the firing on Tyronn Lue?
Sure, we'll start there.
Tyronn Lue, I think even though he's been given so much shit for, not being the coach there, not Adam's giving me the face. I mean, it's kind of, look.
There wasn't shit given him, there was facts.
Nobody really, I mean, if you weren't part of that locker room, nobody will obviously know. But
except for the press that was in the locker room.
True. Look.
Shout out to Dave what's-his-face, who's the, ESPN LeBron reporter.
You mean
Dave McMenamin?
Let me get to my point. I think that, first of all, it's difficult to work, obviously, with LeBron. LeBron is a player coach, and he is the one directing traffic on the court, off the court, and that's just the type of person he is. So being a coach in that type of environment is difficult. It's difficult to have. I'm sure that some of the players looked up to LeBron more than they looked up to Tyronn Lue. That's just not Tyronn Lue's fault. And I'm sure maybe if he was on a team with if he started without LeBron, on a team without LeBron, then maybe it would have been a different story. But LeBron kind of set the tone and left after getting them a championship, and we can't not give props to Tyronn Lue. Tyronn Lue was an essential part to how they got to the championship. He was the second-hand man to David Blatt when he was still there in 2015. Tyronn Lue did do a lot, and talk about dedication. I mean, he had to be there. That's his job. In the practices, all the other, he had to talk for the media. He had to do a lot of stuff player developing, even though that's not his primary job, he did have to work with every single one of those players.
Yeah.
And work out and see how their role fits in. I mean, that's every coach's job. But, I mean, because LeBron's there, people think that all that stuff goes away. It doesn't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to say that Tyronn Lue didn't do anything is really quite insulting.
It's people looking down at Ty Lue.
Exactly, and it's not his fault for being on a team with the greatest player in the world and some other people, but everybody else would love to have you on the pod. But Tyronn Lue, I mean, props to you. Hey, you got a ring under your belt now. You can't be mad. I mean, unless you wanted to be on a literal 30-win team.
Just before we move on, just a quick Ty Lue joke for all my fans out there. So we talked about people looking down at Ty Lue. Do you know who the first person to look down at Ty Lue was?
Allen Iverson.
Yeah. John got me. All right.
Did you just make that up on the spot?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm just going to give my quick thoughts on the Cavs' future before we move on. Obviously, Ty Lue, I feel for you. I think, I agree with John to the point where, people just did not give Ty Lue credit. And it really was LeBron's team in every aspect. I think LeBron had more control over the roster than Ty Lue did. But
still,
even with that being said, Ty Lue was a very important part of that team. I don't understand why they fired Blatt either. I don't think they should have done that in the first place. I think that Ty Lue and David Blatt were both exceptional coaches that were very much undervalued. And I felt like the firing of Ty Lue this year was just in response to the Cavs' start.
And again, not his fault. They have no talent.
The Cavs sucked last year too with LeBron, and then they scraped in the playoffs, and then
what did they think would happen?
Exactly. You basically took a team in which LeBron James carried Kevin Love and a bunch of scrubs to the NBA Finals where they got swept, right? And now you expect to remove the best player in the world. Well, what else? And
okay.
And basically say, okay, Kevin Love, I know you're beat up, but you're gonna have to go out there and perform your ass off every night.
Which
and then,
I mean, they could tell him that because he's the leader of the team now. But still, you can't expect them.
You cannot expect that Cavs team to do well, and which you go 0-6. That's pretty much expected at this point. And then you fire Ty Lue, that's just bullshit. Is what that is. That's flat out you're setting a man up for failure, so that you have a reason to fire him. If you want to fire him, just fire him. You can't.
But still, under what grounds? He did absolutely. I mean.
Yeah, I don't understand why they did that. I think you have to give him at least a season or two post LeBron to get his shit together and to get the Cavs together, because you're basically pinning this entire rebuild on the coach. And yeah, the coach
which isn't his job at all.
Well, the coach is important, and he definitely does have some level of responsibility, but it's not solely his. In which I feel like the Cavs just completely mishandled the situation. Almost kind of like the Spurs and Kawhi. Both sides did not handle the situation well.
But
I guess Ty Lue could have done a little more, but even then, this was just pure and utter disgusting acts from the Cavs.
It almost feels like they think that they're blaming it on him, as if he did it on purpose. I don't see he's not trying to tank. He's trying to show that he can win without LeBron. I mean, he wants to build that image that he's actually a coach.
Yeah. And he's not being warranted that opportunity by the Cavs.
Exactly. And I think here's another aspect though. It did take him quite a few games to change up the lineups after he saw that it wasn't working.
Okay,
People
but
gave him
I
for that.
I think you gotta just ride your guys until they've failed you.
LeBron was gonna leave anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're talking about changing a lineup, right? You could change a lineup, but how much is that going to make a difference? The same guys are still playing. So
Right.
So
but
there's only so much you can do. And, let me put it this way. I start with 2 pieces of recycling and 3 pieces of trash, and I throw it on the court, right? And then they're tired, so I take them out and I throw in 5 pieces of trash. And then they're all done, so then I'm like, okay, well, it, I lost that game. Next game, I come back and I do the same thing and it fails again, and I do the same thing and it fails again. And then I'm like, okay, let me make a lineup change. Let me take one piece of recycling out, insert another piece of trash, and put the recycling in the starting lineup. So now I've got one piece of recycling and 4 trash in both sides. Like, it's not gonna do shit, okay? You've got a shit team, you start with shit. It doesn't matter what the you do, when you look at it, it's still shit. Like, no level of rearranging is gonna stop you from seeing what it is. Like, I can take shit, I can paint a mural, but it's still made of shit, right? Like, it's a weird analogy, but it's facts. Like, there's just a point where it does not matter what Ty Lue could have done to the lineup. The personnel itself is not a good enough personnel to be a winning basketball club. And the Cavs just had this expectation, and they just cannot meet that.
And even though you're in a weak Eastern Conference right now, it still doesn't mean shit, because you have literal crap running your team, playing on your team. Like, Arena's not going to talk about how Kobe... First of all, it all starts with David Griffin, how he f***ed the team over by kind of just leaving and really not having a good relationship with LeBron. I think that it's more than possible. It's almost... It almost usually happens that LeBron has a pretty good relationship with other people. He is a people person, and he is a good teammate.
Other than teammates, that is. Kyrie
just wanted to be on a team of his own. But we're not getting into that. Anyway, Ty Lue, we feel for you, dude. Come on the pod if you need another job. But let's start off this segment, Adam Starters, at the start of every month. Adam will pick one player in each position that stood out during the previous month, and those will be his starters for this virtual game.
That's non-existent, but
that's non-existent.
Yeah.
But yeah, Adam, who is your top 5? Like, who's your best player in the month of October? The inaugural month of the NBA is finally back.
Yeah.
Who is your best player for every position? Go.
Do you want me to just say all 5, or do we want to go one by one and break them down?
You can tell us all 5 and then break it down. Whatever you feel like.
Okay. Steph Curry, I feel like, has been the best player in the NBA for October. This is a man who's just been killing it from pretty much every aspect of the floor, and a guy that is heading probably the best team in the league right now. Not a whole lot you can say there. Steph Curry, 51 points in a game. He leads the league in points per game with 32.5. Leads the league in 3-pointers made by a solid 17 over the guy in second place. He's just a guy that...
No slight to Kemba. I mean, you just can't get past Stephen Curry.
No, Stephen Curry has just been the top of... he's been at his peak right now, which is insane to just start off just so blowing it up, essentially. I have to say, for the 2 guard, I would really like to pick just a second point guard. And if I were to do that, I'll be honest, I'd pick Westbrook. However, I'm going to play it true to the positions, in which case I think I'm going to have to go with Butler. I was considering Klay Thompson. He's a guy that had the 52-pointer, but Thompson has just been struggling this season. So I can't bring myself to pick him over a guy like Jimmy Butler, who really showed out against the Warriors. I thought he played his heart and soul out. And, even with his offseason shit, this is a guy who's leading the NBA in steals. So he's just a lockdown, high-quality defender. And at the same time, he's a prolific scorer. He can do it pretty much from anywhere on the floor. And even despite kind of butting heads with some of his teammates, I think he's able to just put that aside him and really go out and perform for the betterment of his team.
Can I say something real quick about Jimmy Butler?
Please do. First of all, actually, hold up. He's really funny. Go.
Okay. I think that even after all this off-season crap that has gone down, there was an interview after he was after a win against the Lakers, I believe, where he was like, the reporter asked him, do you think this finally sparked something in your team? And he said, I hope so. Which really, obviously, since maybe they worked out a deal, or maybe they worked something out, just give us until the All-Star break, or something. Maybe he looks like he's willing, Jimmy Butler is going to be Jimmy Butler anywhere. And he's still going to play his heart out. It doesn't matter